Alrighty, guys. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back here to another live stream, my friends. Hope everyone is doing well out there. Glad to have you guys here for another stream. So we actually got a bit of activity going on right now that I want to go ahead and jump over to. We have two confirmed tornadoes going on right now in western Nebraska. This has actually been going on for a little bit here. We actually have two confirmed tornadoes here. The good news about it, though, obviously the good news is not the fact that the tornado's on the ground here, but the fact that it mostly appears to be rural areas here. Let's see here. The one warning up in western Nebraska includes Ashby, Dipping Vat Meadow, and the Mother Lake here. On top of this, so the tornado has been observed in this storm here, but we're also seeing hail 3 inches in diameter, which is large apple-size hail. Definitely a considerable damage threat. So not only is it a really big problem, because we have, a confirmed tornado on it, but we also do have 3-inch hail. Now, the storm east of it here, a little smaller in terms of hail, but still really big hail, 2 inches in diameter. It's what the warning is for. Also, this one is observed too. So there actually has been two confirmed tornadoes here. If we take a peek at velocity here, you can actually see. So this is western Nebraska. It actually looks like we now have possibly 3 circulations going on. There's your main circulation. It looks like we might even have another couplet here. And we have this other area that we're watching. This was that one confirmed tornado. And then this was the other. And now looks like we have a new area of rotation that is kicking up here. Let's take a peek at correlation coefficient real quickly. Let's see, you're not seeing anything on CC. The radar is pretty far away, though. And like I mentioned, it also has to hit stuff in order for it to show up here on the radar. But anyways, I did want to point that out here. We do have a tornado watch in effect for western Nebraska here and southwestern South Dakota. Where these red boxes are, essentially this is where that tornado watch is, and then these were the tornado warnings here. So the warnings mean take action, watches mean just basically keep an eye on the weather, because tornadic activity can't be ruled out. All right, everybody, let's see. We have Alt, we have Isaac, Carson, Mark, let's see here, Zach, we have Vienna, K-Dog, Sabish, let's see here, Cheryl, Frankie, Steele, Alt, Kim, and, of course, everybody else who is here but just not chatting. Welcome, welcome. So, yeah, tomorrow, as you guys probably been paying attention to the news here, tomorrow we got a really big day ahead of us here. In terms of severe weather, we are talking a level 4 out of 5 severe weather threat here. So let's go ahead and bring up the Storm Prediction Center risk here for tomorrow, because now we do have that breakdown here in which we can, definitely kind of look at now in terms of probability. So yeah, tomorrow we have a big day ahead of us here. I do plan on doing some coverage on this tomorrow, so I will be here to cover it probably during the daytime. We'll be live for you guys, so definitely do some coverage on that. But yeah, we do have a moderate here, level 4. A severe weather threat here across southeastern Minnesota, central southeastern Minnesota, northern Iowa, and central and western Wisconsin. Now, that's the level 4 threat. Now, if you guys are in any of the dark green, the yellow, the orange, or the red, you're in the risk for severe thunderstorms, which, you need to be weather aware if you're in any shade here, really. The more you get to that, the higher the risk you get into, basically, the greater the probability for seeing severe weather is. But not to mention also the severity of the storms, too, increases as well. So tornado probability, we have a whopping 15% risk out there in that level 4 moderate risk here, in which, basically within a 25-mile radius, say you're in the red here, you have a 15% chance of a tornado dropping within a 25-mile radius around you. In this black kind of dashed area here, this is our significant risk. This is the region where we could see potentially significant tornadoes, perhaps possibly EF2 or greater. So that is kind of what we're looking out there for. So that's the region that's has those black dashed lines through it. That's the region where we could see significant tornadoes here. So something we'll definitely need to look out there for. What's up, Kat? Hope you're doing good. Welcome, welcome. Let's see here. Storm's on my birthday, which is Wednesday, but I'm in Dallas, Fort Worth. Gotcha. Well, happy early birthday. Could I check Portage? I don't know where Portage is, AJ. If you could tell me a state or something, that would help. What about Greenfield, Ohio tomorrow? So Ohio is actually in the clear tomorrow. We don't really have anything going on tomorrow for Ohio. However, Tuesday, Ohio needs to be weather aware. We don't have the breakdown quite yet for Tuesday in terms of like the tornado, wind, and hail probabilities as of now, but we'll get that for you tomorrow. But yeah, no, Tuesday, Ohio, the entire state needs to be weather aware. But yeah, back over here to tomorrow's risk here. We do have 30% non-significant damaging wind threat here. Potential for gusty winds, mostly between 60 upwards of 70 miles an hour in terms of gusts, within the storm. And it's just probability based. 5% chance across the brown, 15 across the yellow, 30 across the red. And in terms of hail, we do have a pretty large, significant hail threat here. In which you can see, this whole dashed area here is where we do have the potential for hail 2 inches in diameter and larger. So we definitely do have that big shot for hail that we'll need to look out there for tomorrow's too. So yeah, tomorrow really the main concern. All hazards are going to be really the main concern, but potential for significant tornadoes, EF2 greater, hail 2 inches in diameter and larger, and then potential for damaging winds, gusts between 60 and 70 miles an hour or so. So, anyways, let's see here. What's up, Caden? Saying, hey man, long time no see. Sorry, I've been here. I've been dealing with life. I completely understand that, but I wanted to pop in because I was hearing a lot about the enhanced risk in Cleveland. Yeah, day after tomorrow, we do have that level 3 threat for central eastern Ohio, which extends into Pennsylvania and New York State. So we'll have to definitely continue the coverage here on Tuesday as well. Like I mentioned, tomorrow I do have stuff planned to stream with you guys, so we'll definitely be here to help out, okay? Let's see. AJ says Portage, Wisconsin. Oh, okay. Well, that helps out a lot more. Let's see here. Portage, Wisconsin. Yeah, there's a Portage, Michigan, too. Okay, so yeah, you're in the south side. Let's go ahead and bring up our SPC outlook on this page here too. Day 2 outlook here. So yeah, you're actually in that moderate. You're in that level 4 severe weather threat here. Which yes, that does include that 15% tornado risk here. Once again, within a 25-mile radius around you, there's a 15% chance of a tornado dropping. Within the region. And in fact, we do have that significant risk there, but gives potential that some storms could be EF2 or greater. We are talking potential large tornadic activity, unfortunately. Now, damaging winds, we've got a 15% chance for that, mostly potential for gusts between 60 to 70 miles an hour, which most places can handle relatively fine, but there definitely could be some damages from that. And then lastly, we do got a pretty big threat for hail, which is a 30% chance, which is also a significant risk area here for hail. Talking hail potential, essentially 2 inches in diameter and larger. So, yeah. So definitely be weather aware. You definitely are in that level 4, that big threat for tomorrow. So, you're going to need to be watching the weather all throughout tomorrow. Okay. So, just keep an eye on it, and, everything will be all right. We'll get through it. Okay. What about Ripon? Is it Ripon? Ripon? This is up in Wisconsin. All right. Got you, Owen. So, yeah, Wisconsin. Yeah. This is like the first big threat, if I recall, for Wisconsin this year here, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so you're actually in the level 3 threat here, Owen. So that is still a really big threat for severe weather potential. So that does give you a 10% significant tornado risk, a little bit lower percentage than that 15, of course. So within a 25-mile radius around you, 10% chance for tornadoes. Within a 25-mile radius around you, potential could be strong, as we do have that significant severe risk there. Damaging winds, we got a 15% chance, and hail, we got that 30% significant chance here for potential hail 2 inches in diameter and larger. Let's see here. Carson says, do I think that 64048 will get any action on Monday? I'm really hoping for lightning. All my apps saying no, just wondering in my opinion. I can take a peek at that real quickly for you. Yeah, let me pull this up here real quickly. We're mostly going to be focusing on tomorrow and the day after. You said for when? Monday? Which that would be what, day 3? No. Hold on a minute. Tomorrow, right? I guess you're talking tomorrow. Well, if you're talking tomorrow, yeah, you do have a level 3 enhanced risk out there for severe weather, which does give you a 5% chance for tornadoes. Now, the good news is that, as of right now, that's not a significant risk. Tornadoes shouldn't be anything super significant, but there will be the potential for tornadoes within the region. A 5% chance, to be exact, of one occurring within a 25-mile radius of your location. So that's, still pretty low odds. We can't rule out tornadic activity out here, so, we'll certainly have to keep an eye out there for that because it is possible. In terms of damaging winds, we have a 15% chance for gusty winds ranging between 60 to 70 miles an hour. And lastly, we do actually, you're right on the edge of that 30%, but you're in the 15% risk for hail 2 inches in diameter and larger. So, we do need you to be weather aware, which, you're hoping for lightning. It's a good possibility. Good possibility. Okay. Steel, it depends on the Storm Prediction Center if they're going to upgrade it. It's up to SPC. It's up to how models continue to hold out. We'll have to see what happens. What's up, Crystal? Thank you for subscribing, Mr. Nerd. I appreciate it. Do I think there's a chance for a high risk? I really don't know, to be honest with you. Let me take a look at the models here. That's something I really kind of didn't do quite yet. I kind of wanted to wait with you guys before we dove into the big models and stuff. This is just off the SPC outlook here. Let's go ahead and bring you guys over to models. We're going to take a look at that now. But like I mentioned a minute ago, too, it also just depends on SPC. It also depends on, how models hold up and, if they start to look a little more aggressive, if they look a little tamer, then maybe not. It just depends. Just depends. Let me, what's going on here. I need to pull up my bundles here. Why is my bundles not coming up? Oh, that's not good. Here, let me refresh this real quickly. My bundles weren't loading. Let's see here. Bundles. See, yeah, okay. That's not really good. But let me go ahead and bring up instability anyways and stuff. We'll go ahead and just load it. Yeah, so working our way down in time here, you can see out there. So for late tomorrow, we do have a lot of instability that builds in. I mean, we're talking, well over 2,000, nearly 3,000 joules per kilogram of instability, which is way more than enough fuel than you really need. Overlaying our lower level wind shear, we're going to overlay our lower level jet here, which is 850 millibar wind speeds. We'll do barbs. We'll make those wind barbs here. Let's make them yellow. So our yellow barbs are our our lower level winds here, which, I mean, you can see, I mean, we do have a really strong lower level jet here, good 40, 45 knots, 50 knots or so. I mean, certainly is pretty solid. Let's add our mid-level shear too, and just add it on top of it. Why not? Let's do upper level. We'll go to our 500 millibar, and let's go and add our wind barbs here. So we'll have our mid-level red. So our lower level's yellow. Our mid-levels are going to be red. There we go. And let me also make this to where it shows stuff under 50 knots too. There we go. Okay. So now we should be cooking here. So, yeah, I mean, you can see here looking at tomorrow evening, the time's in the bottom right, by the way. So this is in Eastern time. So this is like tomorrow evening, 5 p.m., so 4 Central. Our mid-level shear out here by, like, Iowa, for example, looks to be in, like 40, 50 knots, 40, 45 knots or so. That's definitely a pretty strong lower-level jet. Mid-level jet's just over 50 knots in most cases here. So, wind shear is not really much of a problem. I mean, we have a lot of wind shear. We have some veering. You can see the lower-level winds are going more to the north than the mid-level winds. They kind of go a little bit more to the east here. So there's a little bit of that change in wind direction there. Let's grab a sounding here. Just really curious to kind of see. We do have some curvature on our photographs here indicating that veering wind column in the bottom lower atmosphere, telling us that the winds are changing direction and increasing in wind speed with altitude, which that kind of gives us that spin and potential for tornadic activity. Also, one thing I will mention is our dew points here in the lower 70s, which that's really high. That's great moisture supply. For these storms and everything, great instability, tons of fuel. I mean, potentially really tall thunderstorms too. This is certainly in an environment. I'll tell you that. So, but to answer your question, though, I mean, will it be a high risk? Like I mentioned, it just depends. That's up to SPC. I don't work for the Storm Prediction Center. I don't affiliate with them. It just depends. SPC, if they see that their criteria has been met, if the models continue to, show stronger signals, if they, show that it's, more severe than previous runs and stuff like that, then maybe. But regardless, moderate or high, we still need to be just as prepared. Either way, it's still a really big concern, moderate or high. It's just there's a lot of hype around the high risk. It just either or. We still got to be weather aware, But that's up to SPC. That's just what it dwindles down to. Okay. Anyways, moving on. Let's see here. No problem, AJ. Gotcha. Mr. Nerd says, glad to be here for the first time. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Do I think the enhanced risk Tuesday will be at 2 or 5%? Probably 5. We'll see, though. We'll have to see. I was actually looking at that earlier here. We still do have a decent mid-level, lower-level wind shear, too. A little bit of a curvature, still a little bit of veering going on. It depends, once again, how models kind of hold up here. I mean, not going to commit to anything, and then models change on us, which I've seen it happen many times. It's just part of forecasting. When is this going to happen, says Crystal? Tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day of the big storms here. That's when it starts. Now, the thing is, though, like I don't know if you meant like timing-wise, with the exact time and everything. You know what I just noticed here? I know why my thing's not loading. Here, let me disable this real quickly, you guys. I know exactly why. Oh, not that. I know exactly why this isn't loading. I need to sign in here. Let's see here. Yeah, that's why it wasn't logged in. I was sitting here wondering why it wasn't logging in or why it wasn't having any of my stuff, but it's because I wasn't logged in. Classic Andrew, I tell you. Here we go. Okay, let me bring this back for you guys. I tell you, man. That's a classic Andrew right there. But yeah, let's go ahead and bring up radar here. We're going to pull up the HRRR, the HER, high resolution rapid refresh, and let's bring up our future radar. So looking at timing, we have the 0 Zulu run coming through here. So obviously we have a lot of convection going on now in West Nebraska. We started the stream looking at that there. But yeah, you can see tomorrow it looks like here. Definitely a lot of storms kind of carrying in through the morning overnight. Let me try the 18 Zulu. I'm curious to see what because that one's fully loaded. Things can change from between now and then, but see, the 18 Zulu honestly doesn't show much convection in Iowa, which is kind of it's kind of interesting. It doesn't mean it won't be, of course, because the environment's very primed for it. Let's see here. It's kind of hard to say with timing, because like I mentioned, the convection's going to continue overnight. And it's just going to lead into tomorrow. But the environment will be really primed tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. Yeah, here's the NAM 3K kind of suggests convection really kicking off pretty much late afternoon, early evening here. You can kind of see the little line developing here. Just depends. When 0 Zulu comes fully out, we'll look at it again. The HRRR, because that's still rendering right now. Will Alabama be okay this week? Says Dusty. Yeah. So Alabama's not really in much of a concern here. So today, we have a risk across the plains. Like I said, we're currently watching some tornadic activity going on here. But mostly rural areas. So we're more updating tomorrow's risk here, but yeah, today we have that. Tomorrow, of course, like I said, we had the big day. Alabama's still good. We've got a general thunderstorm risk in the southern state. Potential for a few booms here and there, but nothing big. Day 3, which would be Tuesday. Nothing for Tuesday. Wednesday, we do actually have a little 15% risk here towards the Dallas-Fort Worth area here. So that was, let's say, what, Tuesday? Wednesday, nothing Thursday. Yeah, so basically between tomorrow, day after tomorrow, which would be on Tuesday. So basically, yeah, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is the days we need to be weather aware, really. I mean, today too, of course, but anyways. Let's see here. Rain says, is there a cap in place, or is this event a go? Let's bring back up the models again so we can kind of look at that here. So I think mostly it's going to be free convection. I have an overlay here that I always use. Think this is the one. This one overlays convective inhibition too. So that, the darker areas kind of signify. You can see where the instability is under it, but it's where the cap is. Which, if you guys don't know what the cap is in weather, it's a warm layer. It's a layer of the lower atmosphere typically, in which the temperature increases as you go up in altitude, in which thunderstorms need the temperatures to decrease as you go up. A warm layer would increase those temperatures instead, which would kind of stop convection anyways, or prevent it completely. Now, looking at, there's not a whole lot of cap. There really is not a whole lot of cap out there. I mean, you can see that the environment breaks through that cap, no problem. So this is tomorrow evening. Here, let's grab a sounding out here towards Des Moines. Just random sounding here. Yeah, no warm layer. I mean, we're free to rise, man. We're free to go. Ooh, look at that curvature, dude. Look at that hodo. Yeah, it's a little concerning. I'm really curious to see the observed soundings tomorrow whenever they do the weather balloon launches. Curious. Anyways. Let's see here. Nicholas says, hello from West Des Moines. What's up? Hope you're doing good. Saying, ready for storms tomorrow. Working from home. Well, hope you're doing good, my friend. Please be careful out there, because tomorrow definitely is going to be a pretty big day out there, I believe. Speaking of, Nicholas, dude, coming up to 5. I appreciate it, man. Saying, what time in West Des Moines am I thinking? So, the environment looks like we break that cap here sometime in the late afternoon, early evening. I can't give you a specific time, due to the uncertainty still. But the environment, the cap lifts, which we were just talking about, that warm layer that basically prevents convection from occurring, or thunderstorm activity. That seems to break around late afternoon. I mean, this is like 3 p.m. Central. Can't take it too specifically because, at the end of the day, models, they're not completely perfect. But, just getting an estimate and stuff, it kind of seems like it'll be right around sometime late afternoon, early evening here. Yeah, I mean, HRRR shows that environment breaking the cap here maybe a little bit later, 4 p.m. or so. So just basically count on it being late afternoon, early evening. I'd say to be safe, anywhere from 3 to 5 p.m. maybe. That's when you could see some storms, in the area. But, we'll see. We'll see. Thank you, dude, for the 5. I appreciate it, man. Let me hop back over to radar here. Let's see. See what the 23 Zulu showed us here. Actually, it doesn't go far enough, I don't think. Yeah. The 0. So the HRRR kind of shows maybe some showers in the morning too. Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird. It's really weird. Yeah, the 0 Zulu and the 18 Zulu HRRR don't really show a whole lot going on throughout the afternoon, evening. Yet the environment is like totally capable. Yeah, this is one of those dicey situations where the environment is still definitely capable of it. There could just be some, small microphysics that the models can't really pick up on, which can initiate storms and actually allow for convection to occur. I mean, like I mentioned, given the environment, it certainly is capable. We have tons of instability, tons of fuel, tons of wind shear, moisture. I mean, it's all there. It's all there, But anyways, yeah, Nicholas, be careful, man. We certainly need you to be weather aware tomorrow, despite HRRR just being HRRR and doing an HRRR thing, but yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. So the cap is not a problem. No, it shouldn't be. Shouldn't be. I mean, all models that we just looked at here really show that cap breaking. I mean, like HRRR, NAM 3K, I should say. Sorry. Let me actually bring up the normal NAM here. Let's see what we got going on. Yeah, I do too, ATR. I mean, all of us can just wish for a bust, but I mean, we'll see what happens, of course. But we still got to prepare for the worst, you know. All right, let's bring back up our instability and stuff here. Yeah, you can see that cap, you know, so you see that darker color here. This is that that temperature inversion I was telling you guys about. I overlaid on this program. So basically, this is where temperatures increase as you go up a little bit in altitude instead of decreasing, which is what you need. You can see once we break through that cap, you know, you can see now this is all exposed, which this is just free to convect, free to happen. In which this is, let's see here. Yeah, this is basically sometime late afternoon, early evening here. So, anyways, we'll definitely look out for that. Let me go ahead and bring up our, yeah, look at the SKUTs here. Really, I mean, this is like, this is a concerning sounding I just picked here. I mean, wow. Yeah, I mean, look at the curvature on those photographs. They're indicating that veering wind shear, you know, change in wind direction, change in wind speed with altitude, you know. Got those northerlies in the lower atmosphere, or southerlies, you know, winds going to the north, I should say. Then changing directions with altitude, you know, tons of instability. We have a dry layer in our lower mid-atmosphere here, which that could be a really big problem for hail growth. You know, just given the fact that we have tons of instability here and a lot of wind shear, it's going to really get some things moving. Yeah, that's, you know, especially with the surface moisture and, you know, how we dry off real quickly in the lower mid-atmosphere. I mean, it goes from moist to dry quick with instability, you know, wind shear. That's just, that's a hail sounding. that's a beefy hail sounding right there. I mean, damaging winds too. Downward, you know, downwards cape here over almost 1,000 joules. I mean, that's, yeah, that's like that's a triple threat sounding there. That's like all the above, hail, winds, and hate to say it, perhaps tornadic activity. You know. But anyways, so that's that. And then, like I mentioned, we the cap builds back in as nighttime occurs for the most part. Still could be some storms along the front going on, and then we break the cap once again here for Tuesday, which exposes a lot of instability. Not much of a convective emission going on at this point, but more convection for Tuesday. So, anyways, Crystal says, should Ohio be worried? I wouldn't be like worried. I would, you know, keep a close eye out for the weather in Ohio because let's hop back over here to this real quickly. So SPC, we do have a slight risk at the very least, and we also have an enhanced risk here for what is this going to be on Tuesday? Yep. So like western Ohio, southern Ohio, we have the slight risk here, which is a level 2 severe weather threat, which is, you know, certainly a risk we still need to really watch out for. You know, it's not no moderate or high risk, of course, but it's still, I mean, it's a decent risk for severe weather, in which, you know, we need to be weather aware. Then we have that level 3, an increase risk out here for central and eastern Ohio, including Columbus and Cleveland area, inside that level 3 threat. Now, we don't have an exact probability breakdown for you know, damaging winds, tornadoes, and hail, because that's only available. You can see this is day 3. This is for Tuesday. The breakdown is only available for today and tomorrow. You know, day 1 and day 2. Today's day 1. But whenever the current day 3 goes to day 2, which is going to be tonight, tomorrow morning, we'll have the breakdown available here. But for now, we don't on the exact probability, but given the risk overall for severe weather, it's a 30% in the red, 15% chance in the yellow, 5% chance in the brown. That's just a probability of severe weather. So, Mark says seems that West Virginia is avoiding the big stuff. So, I mean, wouldn't completely brush it off. I mean, because we do have, still a marginal in central West Virginia, and, actually northern and western West Virginia here, too. We do have actually a part of that slight risk, too. Despite them being on the lower scale, they are still risks for severe weather. They are still a severe weather risk. Potential for damaging storms. So, I mean, while, yes, it is a lot less likely, and likely not as significant, there still is going to be potential for strong to, like I said, severe storms. So we'll have to not brush it off, but, still keep a close eye on it for Tuesday. Then, like I mentioned, Wednesday, guys, we have a little 15% risk here up in Fort Worth area. Extends down to Waco, shy of Wichita Falls, shy of Texarkana, right on the edge of Tyler, Texas there. But yeah, Dallas, Fort Worth area is in that risk. Rain says atmosphere is just premiumed. Primed. Yeah, it is. It is certainly primed. Just given everything, I mean, we have the strong wind shear, we have the instability, we have the moisture. Here, let's take a peek at that moisture again. I want to pull up the dew points here, which is, models are suggesting those dews, those dew point temperatures being in the mid-upper 60s, even lower 70s in some spots. You can see that low right over the northern plains, upper Midwest here. Look at these values, man. I mean, behind the front here, I mean, those dew points are in the 20s and teens and 30s, but in the warm sector, our dew points are like in the upper 60s and lower 70s in some points. So yeah, and then you can see that cold front, that cold air advancing down from the north, coming up from the north, shooting down. And then that's just going to kind of knock its way through the Ohio Valley here. Still line of storms going on. Still great moisture advection going on here. Yeah, likely the south is going to be dealing with a lot of thunderstorms over the next little bit. Not necessarily fully severe, but just given that there's tons of moisture, and we're just continually bringing up a lot of that tropical air just into the region here, it's just, it's really, really kicking things up. What are the chances this goes high? I was actually mentioning that a minute ago, or a little bit ago. Like I mentioned, it just depends. It's up to SPC. If their criteria is met for it, they'll do it. Also, like we mentioned here, it's, if the models continue to hold out where they're at, and if they, pick up maybe even a little bit more stronger, the models get a little bit more aggressive, then maybe they'll push it. But, with that being said, though, like I mentioned, regardless of it being, a high risk or a moderate, either or, they're both still really big risks, So, we still need to be just as weather aware in both of them. So, that's the important part. It's not what level of risk it is. It's how well you're prepared, essentially. Anyways. Caden, I doubt it. I don't think so. But you never know. We'll see. Once again, like I said, it just kind of leans on SPC, what they decide, what's appropriate. Yeah, I'm just amazed by just how much advection we have going on here. You guys are going to really realize something tomorrow, right? So you guys in the Midwest and the Ohio Valley and stuff, y'all are going to really realize how muggy it's going to be tomorrow. It is going to be so muggy. I know a lot of people go off of the mugginess with humidity. It's not the way to do it. Really, dew point is what you need to look at for the mugginess. 50-degree dew points. I mean, even if humidity is 100%, it's not super, super muggy. However, if you have like 60-degree dew points, 100% humidity, yeah, that's starting to get really muggy. But 70-degree dew points and high humidity and stuff, closer your temperature and your humidity are together, the higher the humidity. So, essentially, if you have a dew point of 32 degrees, temperature of 32 degrees, humidity is 100%. Vice versa, 70-degree dew point, 70-degree temperature, 100% humidity, right? So the higher the dew point, the more moisture the air is holding, essentially. And essentially the humidity is just how much moisture the air can. I'm not the best of teachers, but yeah, essentially if you exceed 100% humidity, you get saturation, you get condensing going on, in which stuff. I'm getting too deep in a hole right now. Anyways, getting off topic there. Let's see here. Brady says, what's the tornado risk for Arkansas Tuesday? My cousin's only on the site right now. So, Brady, the SPC has not released the exact probability for, Tuesday's tornado probability. We will learn that tomorrow. So, right now, the only thing we have available for looking at tornado probability is for today and tomorrow. But for Tuesday, we don't have that available yet. So, we'll keep an eye on it. Justin says, does Wednesday look like a tornado-type day in the Dallas-Fort Worth area? Let me look. It's a really good question. Let me take a peek at that real quickly. Let's go ahead and bring up our instability here. Yeah, I'm really kind of curious on that as well. So, like we mentioned, yeah, Wednesday. Okay, you can kind of see here for Wednesday, we build in some instability. Our lower level winds, we have about 35 knot winds. Lower level winds. This is 850 millibar height, which is lower level winds here. And we do have some veering going on. So the lower level winds are going to the north. The mid level winds are about 50 knots going to the northeast. So there is some change in wind direction here. There's going to be definitely some curvature in our photographs, I can tell you that. That can't be right. Hold on. Is this? That's weird. There we go. That's more like it. So yeah, you can see we do have some curvature in our photographs. Yeah, I do think if this persists, that possibly tornadoes could be a concern in an environment like this here. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you see we have good instability and moisture, mid-60 dew points, perfect. We got that kind of hook to the photograph here, indicating that change in wind direction. So this is north, south, east, west on the photograph. These are displayed in knots, and so the colors are different altitude, colors essentially. So as we start at the surface, the winds are going to the north. We go up in altitude. The winds change direction to the northeast, and they change to the east, and they pull back to the south. So you can kind of see, or they don't really necessarily pull back to the south too much, but they do slow down a bit. But yeah, you can kind of see though that we do have that curvature, which will definitely allow for potentially some tornadic activity. So we'll see. Let's see here. I'm glad I don't get tornadoes in Idaho. Yeah, they're not as common. Not as common out there. Brian says, hello, Andrew. Really concerned for Monday. Yeah, it definitely does look a little concerning, and we'll definitely be here to help, guys. Like I mentioned, tomorrow, I'm gonna do some coverage for sure. I just need to figure out what time would be appropriate. I don't know if I should do daytime coverage or because everybody else is going to be streaming during the daytime. It's everybody's going to be streaming this, so there's going to be people regardless. But I just don't know if I need to stream nighttime, because while nighttime's not going to be as significant as during the day, there's just not as many people covering it, which it needs coverage. So I just need to see what happens. I might do a little bit of both. Who knows? Who knows? We'll figure that out though. Just take it by ear, but I do definitely plan on doing some coverage. Yes. Yeah, you can see where that instability is in that cap that's there. You can see the cap kind of cancels out the instability. I made it in this program, completely customizable. If you guys want to check this out, you all can get 20% off your first month here. Website's in the top left there. But yeah, I mean, it's just, we really build in a lot of instability here tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. I mean, almost 3,000 joules per kilogram potentially. I'm not going to grab a cherry pick sounding here. Why is this? That is certainly not the environment. That's fully saturated. That is like 40 degrees. That's not right. There's something going on there. There we go. Oh, buddy. Yeah. Certainly, I mean, like I mentioned, kind of a triple threat kind of ordeal. You know, large hail damaging winds and perhaps some tornadic activity. No problem, Justin. I got you. Caden says, is Tuesday in Ohio going to be a daytime or nighttime event? Probably a little bit of both. Yeah, it looks like it's going to really, the environment's going to kind of open up here for afternoon Tuesday, going into the evening here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the SQTs here. They're being a little bit weird. Anyways, but yeah, we definitely do have, the environment here as well for all kinds of severe weather. Like I mentioned, really strong wind shear. We do have some curvature, a little bit of veering wind shear, potential tornadoes and stuff. Good instability, really tall top thunderstorms too. I mean, the equilibrium levels, a little bit above 12 kilometers. So that's that. But yeah, this is 2 p.m. here. You can see the environment opens up. Let me bring up future radar here. You can see storms do kind of pop up here in the afternoon, evening. Yes, so it will be mostly during the daytime. It looks like, but sun goes down. There definitely still could be some lingering storms. So it kind of both, honestly, both day and night. John says there is uncertainty for Chicago if storms are to develop tomorrow, is what the National Weather Service Chicago said. So I can kind of see that with HRRR, yeah, because the HRRR model, which isn't really showing a lot of convection going on, more specifically towards, Chicago region. You can see that the HRRR hardly shows much going on. Yet the environment, there will be a window in which the environment will be very, very much capable of producing, lots of severe weather. Yeah, so the environment's certainly capable of it, but, same thing for Iowa too. You guys can kind of see here. We get a little bit of maybe some, morning, afternoon convection, but nothing super crazy. And then we go into the evening and it looks fairly clear according to this. So, but like I mentioned though, there is no capping inversion. Of course, there's a capping inversion in that sounding I grabbed, but there. Here, let me take a peek back over the instability and stuff. For the most part, the atmosphere is pretty prime. You see, there's no capping inversion here. It is certainly free to convect in that stand. Grab another one to the south. Same thing. Not really much of a capping inversion going on. It's not the cap. I think it's initiation, source of lift, that's preventing this. And what I mean by that is a way to get that warm air on the surface into the cooler environment aloft. Multiple ways of doing it, including a cold front, because it's basically wedging that air, that warm air, ramping it up into the cooler environment aloft or above up in the atmosphere. There's other ways of getting storms. Geography. I don't know does Iowa have mountainous ranges? I don't think so, right? I think Iowa's fairly flat, if I'm not mistaken. Does anybody know that? I'm not too familiar with Iowa's geography. But geography can get storms going too if you can get that air ramping off the mountains. Surface wind convergence, getting winds that kind of crash into each other and kind of shoot their way up. And there's all kinds of ways to get storms going. It just depends. And, models, there's a lot of microphysics going on. There's a lot of, the models can't really pick up super well on that. I mean, this is a high resolution model, but, the Earth is basically an unlimited resolution. If you really think about it. I mean, down to the microscopic level, which models are not capable. I think ARRR is kilometer per kilometer, I believe. I'm just kind of ranting at this point. I'm sorry, guys. I hope you guys find this stuff interesting, though. 'Cause I think it's pretty cool. Braven, I got you. Let me look. Let's see. I think you might be in that slight risk here. Let's see. Okay, so you're in the enhanced risk here. That level 3 threat. Let's see. So that puts you in a 2% tornado risk here. 2% chance for tornadoes, 15% chance for damaging wind gusts. So we could get some gusts, within the storms in the region, potentially up to 60 to 70 miles an hour. And in terms of hail, we do actually have a 30% chance for potential significant hail. Essentially 2 inches in diameter and larger. So, yeah, big hail for sure could be a big possibility. Winds and tornadoes. Tornado threat's pretty low, though, out here, which is good. Okay. Rain says, is there a problem for tomorrow, or is... hold on. Is there no problem for tomorrow, or is there? I'm so confused now. So there's no capping inversion, or at least a cap lifts, which, you know what a capping inversion is, right? So basically, like I mentioned, warm layer in the atmosphere prevents convection from occurring because, like I mentioned, as a thunderstorm develops and that rising column of air, we call it an air parcel, or essentially rises in the atmosphere, it needs the environment to cool down as you go up in altitude. But essentially, with a warm layer, it either equalizes, there's either equilibrium or even warmer environment than the rising air is, which kind of stops that convection. So we need the air to cool down, but that's not much of a problem. The cap breaks, in which convection can continue to occur. If we get initiating storms will be able to convect. They'll be able to just take off. But the problem, from what I believe, is the fact of initiation, a source of lift, essentially. I mean, yes, we got the cold front, but that's only to some degree, according to some of these models here. It just depends. I mean, like I mentioned, microphysics and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things the models can't pick up on. We could have multiple ways of storms developing, geography related, surface wind convergence related, even just simply heating up the atmosphere and causing that warm air to start rising could initiate storms. It's just a way of getting that warm air from the ground level into the upper atmosphere to start the convection. Think of it as you need some starting fluid for for the atmosphere. So once it gets going, it'll go, but it needs a little help, I guess. I don't know. We'll see, though. It could look a lot different. We could definitely have some more stronger sources of lift by the time we approach the event tomorrow. So we'll see. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of things that models can't pick up on. They're a great tool for kind of giving us an idea, but they're not something to be fully approximated at, or not something you should take approximately. Okay, anyways, moving on. Cass says, let's see here. Bad storms till 10 p.m. tomorrow. Is that accurate for this area, North Carolina-wise? North Central Wisconsin. I saw NC. I thought North Carolina for some reason. My bad. Here, let me pull this up here. So you are up in... Oh, you're up in the northern portion. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you are in that decent risk. I don't know if you already knew your risk, Kath, but I'll go over it anyways. That way you know. So you are in that level 3 threat. So that is the enhanced risk, that level 3 severe weather threat. So you do have a 10% chance for tornadoes. So within a 25-mile radius around you, there's a 10% chance of a tornado developing, right? So there is that significant risk, which potentially, is saying that we could have some tornadoes, I hate to say it, possibly pretty strong. EF2 or greater can't be ruled out. Just given that significant wind shear we have. Now, looking at our wind threat, we do have a 30% risk out there for damaging winds. So, potential for gusty winds within the storms could range, if they did get severe, 60 to 70 miles an hour potentially. And then lastly, hail. We do have that 30% risk for hail too, which is a hatch risk or a significant risk here. Potential for hail, 2 inches in diameter or perhaps even larger. So that's something we need to look out there for. Now, you're wondering about the timing and stuff. Like I mentioned, the models are a little weird on timing right now. But what I can show you is whenever that system kind of does roll through. Let's just take a peek at it real quickly. So yeah, you up in the northern side here. So according to HRRR, it does kind of show a long line of storms rolling through. This is right around 10 p.m. like you were talking about. Things should clear up once that main line of storms goes through. You could get a lot of convection throughout, a lot of storm and shower activity, all throughout the afternoon and evening. The big stuff, according to HRRR, which this could look totally different tomorrow, rolls through sometime late. But yeah, once that main line does roll through, which, could be roughly around midnight or so, things should clear up. So that's that. Hopefully that helps. Let's see here. What does the instability look like for Glen, Flora, Wisconsin? Oh, let me look here. Let's bring you guys back over here. Actually, sorry, we're already on the model. So let me pull this up here, or pull this area up real quickly. Okay, so you're not too far from here. Let me see. Yeah, models definitely do suggest some pretty good instability out here, even up in upper Wisconsin. Anywhere from 1,500 to possibly 2,000 joules per kilogram mixed layer instability. Wow, look at that varying wind column. I mean, it's just amazing how even up in upper Wisconsin, dew points are still in the upper 60s. That's some strong advecting air from the Gulf area. Yeah, that's just wow. I mean, upper 60s, dude. That's crazy. Yeah, our wind shear is very strong up here too because we're close to that low. We're close to that area of low pressure, that that cyclone itself. But I mean, yeah, it's we got that curvature kind of. Wow. Yeah, effective inflow helicity is almost 400. It's pretty big. Yeah. Certainly a lot of instability, a lot of wind shear too. Let's see here. Tang wants me to take a look at a zip code. Yep, I got you. By the way, guys, if you could leave a like, hit that subscribe button. Be greatly appreciated. Let's see. Let me pull this up for you, my friend. All right, so you're in Michigan. So tomorrow's not going to be your day of concern. Yeah, Tuesday would be Tuesday we need to be weather aware. So we do have a level 2 threat. Like I mentioned, there's no breakdown quite yet for Tuesday's risk. Given that that's still day 3. Yeah. Not really expecting. What was I going to say? No, we're definitely seeing the potential for severe weather, but I was going to say not expecting it to be as significant as tomorrow, like the maximum risk tomorrow, so that's good. But we still do have a level 2 threat, which we should definitely still be weather aware for on Tuesday. Like I mentioned, there's just no breakdown quite yet. Let's see here. Steel wants me to look at Tuesday for the zip code. Yeah, I got you. Steel, it just depends on SPC, man. Like I said, if SPC decides that they need to, then they will. I'm not going to really say anything about that. It depends on models, how models hold up. Once again, it depends on SPC's, what they say essentially about it. I mean, it's just we'll see. Regardless, like I mentioned, even if it does, guys, even if there is an upgrade, we still just need to be as weather aware. It's not always about the level. It's about how prepared you need to be. I mean, you need to be prepared to the max you can whenever severe weather comes through. But anyways, so for you do have a slight risk here, that level 2 threat, which, like I mentioned, for Tuesday, we don't have a breakdown quite yet, but we will tomorrow. Ian, you have a enhanced risk. You're in a level 3 threat tomorrow. Columbus is in... Sorry, not tomorrow. Tuesday. Yeah, there's an enhanced risk out there for Tuesday. But yeah, like I mentioned, as of right now, there's no complete breakdown for that. But yeah, I mean, look how large that slight risk we even have is. I mean, that goes all the way from West Texas, cut through Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, Michigan, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York State, up into Vermont. All the way from West Texas to Vermont, we have a slight risk on Tuesday. That's pretty crazy. What's my opinion on St. Louis on Tuesday? So, I mean, St. Louis, I mean, to be honest with you, St. Louis is not in a super big threat here. Going into Tuesday, we do have a slight risk for St. Louis area, which is a level 2 threat. Once again, no breakdown available quite yet. Let me take a look at this though real quickly. Hold on. Yeah, you can kind of see here we have a brief window in which we could definitely get some convection, maybe early Tuesday. I mean, yeah, the environment could support it. Wind shear's nothing significant really though. Yeah, definitely could see some storms, but yeah, I as SPC has it, it's nothing super duper crazy. But yeah, just we'll see tomorrow. What SPC does have, but should still be weather aware, of course. But anyways, folks, well, if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them down. Like I said, we're getting ready to head off here probably because we're approaching our hour mark here. Like I said, tomorrow we'll be going live for you guys. Still need to kind of figure out what time we're going to go live. I'm not sure if we're going to do day or nighttime coverage or both, so we'll figure that out. Just look out for a stream tomorrow. Have those notifications on. That way I can help you guys out and everything. But I appreciate everybody. Thank you guys for joining. Once again, if you guys are new to the channel, if you guys could leave a like, hit that subscribe button, it'd be greatly appreciated. Did I see the HRR Cape for Tuesday? I did not. Let's see here. Jennifer said, I'm right on the edge of Fairmont, Minnesota for tomorrow. It always forms over us. And we see the action flare up afterwards when it heads east. Gotcha. I can take a look, Jennifer, for your area if you want me to, which I can go ahead and do that real quickly. I think, yeah, you're going to be in that, yeah, you're in the moderate risk. Yeah, so, Jennifer, definitely do need you to be weather aware. You are in that level 4 threat. Right here you can see that moderate risk, which that gives you a 15% chance for tornadoes. So essentially within a 25-mile radius around you, there's a 15% chance of a tornado dropping. And, there is that hatch risk out there for potential tornadoes EF2 or greater. So, we definitely need you to be weather aware tomorrow for sure. Also a 30% chance out there for damaging wind gusts, potentially ranging 60 to 70 miles an hour. And in terms of hail, also a 30% chance for hail, essentially, possibly 2 inches in diameter and greater, given that significant status. So could definitely see some pretty large hail out there as well. So anyways. But yeah, definitely be weather aware, my friend. Let's see here. No problem, Kath. You're very welcome. Have a lot of farm animals to protect. I understand. You're very welcome, Kath. No problem. But, all right, everybody. Well, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for now. I appreciate y'all for joining. Once again, a big thank you goes to Nicholas earlier for the super chat. I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you. But for right now, we're going to head off here, guys. Like I said, we'll do some stuff tomorrow. I'll be sure to help you guys out, okay? But y'all try not to worry about it. It'll be all right. We'll get through this, okay? Just another round of nasty storms. But like I said, we'll be here to help you guys. But all right, everybody. Well, stream's going to head off here in 1 minute. So go ahead and say goodbye to your friends, your family, anybody you're hanging out with in the chat. Once again, we'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. Once again, try not to worry about it too much. Like I said, I understand it's a little nerve-wracking, but we got this. We'll get through it. And all right, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining. You guys have a wonderful rest of your night. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out, my friends. See you later on.